Brothers and sisters, man, once again, we here. Injury to one. You know, I'm your host, Dezo. I got two distinguished brothers here from Local 10. You know what I'm saying? You introduce yourself and your plug.
Yeah, my name is Brother Clarence Thomas. My registration number is 8718.
Okay.
Retired member of
Okay,
ILWU Local 10.
8718.
I'm a little up from him. My brother Daniel Boga, 9750, Local 10, Sergeant Arms. Thanks for having me, Dezo.
Man, thank y'all for coming. I really appreciate y'all for y'all time. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people, come sit our stuff down on the table, have this good conversation, you know what I'm saying? Because, man, I love this place. You know what I'm saying? So, Brother Clarence, we can start with you. Can you tell me why you wanted to become a member of the ILWU?
Before I do that,
Okay.
Brother Lacey, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me on the program.
I appreciate you for coming.
And I also want to just acknowledge the good work that you're doing as a casual in ILW Local 10, because this is demonstrating the kind of rank and file leadership that we're going to need desperately in the future. So thank you for having me. I am a third generation longshore worker, retired. I sometimes think that I'm still active because I'm a member of the ILWU San Francisco Bay Area Pensioners Club here in San Francisco. And I'm also a member of the executive board of the Pacific Coast Pensioners Association. You want to allow the brother sitting next to me to talk a little bit, or you want me to continue?
You can continue.
Oh, okay, okay.
I got time. I like listening. I like listening.
We're listening,
Okay.
Man. Let us know.
Okay. I started on the waterfront in 1985 with the passing of my father, Clarence Thomas Sr., who passed away in February of 1985. But it's important for me to mention to the audience that my journey to become a longshore worker actually started in 1969 when I was a student at San Francisco State College.
Okay.
I wasn't one of the thousands who had applied to get picked. I had friends who were classmates of mine who did get picked. And the reason why I wanted to become a longshore worker was because I understood the importance of the job. Being a third generation longshore worker, my maternal grandfather, Lee Edwards, he came in on the waterfront in 1944, the same year as Cleophas Williams, who's the first African American to be elected president of a longshore local.
Okay.
And my father, he came in 1963. Then I have a great uncle who came in 1965. So I understood the importance of what a longshore job provided in terms of living wages, but for a college student, it meant that you would be able to, work part-time and go to school.
Right.
Now, some interesting things happened that put me in touch with ILWU members when I was at San Francisco State College. I was part of the Black Student Union Central Committee that initiated the longest student strike in American history at an institution of higher learning. The strike lasted almost 5 months. We were demanding, among other things, the establishment of a Black Studies department and a School of Ethnic Studies. Started out with 10 demands. Later, the American Federation of Teachers, those were the professors at the school, They went out on strike with their own set of demands. And they got strike sanction from the San Francisco Labor Council, which meant that ILWU could now get involved in supporting our picket line because of the teachers. So during the time that we were on the picket line, ILWU members came out. But not only that, but because the professors were on strike, the students were on strike, everybody who worked at the campus were on strike, ILWU Local 10 members gave permission for people who were unemployed during the strike at San Francisco State to get jobs as casuals. Now, I never did take them up on it. My wife was pregnant at the time, and I had some money saved up. But Danny Glover, for an example, he worked as a casual. Steve Zeltzer, who you probably have seen videotaping a lot of our actions, he was a student at San Francisco State too. But get this. When the strike was in negotiations to be settled, then Mayor Joe Alioto, he put William Bill Chester, who was the African-American international vice president of the ILWU, on the negotiating committee. So as you can see, all of these connections with the ILWU, even before I became a longshore worker.
And shout out to Bill Chester.
But shout out to Bill Chester.
He's our hiring. A lot of people doing that every single day. Pass his name.
Pass that pedestal. And they don't read that pedestal. That's a very good point.
Hey, shout out to the ones that do. You know the ones that don't, that's not a dig. Just look at it. It's right there.
That's right there.
You walk through the door.
As you walk right into the men's room.
What's here?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, that's a great point to bring up. So, but you know, one of the takeaways of why I wanted to give this narrative is because long before I got to Local 10, I was involved in activism. And I should also mention too that I was a part of the Black Panther Party for a period of time. To the people, yeah. Right. I was involved with the party during the time that Huey had been arrested, and part of the Free Huey movement. So a lot of things happened for me. I had a variety of jobs. I even attended law school for a while and found out that wasn't for me, or law school said, this is not for you, however you want to look at it. But I graduated from San Francisco State in history, and I lived on back east for a while. But in 1985, this traumatic event happened in our family, and my father passed away. He was his number was 6208. And so, I came in through what they called the permissive rule, which is a very socialistic principle, because the union wanted to figure out a way that the economic loss of the parent in the ILWU, who was an active member, could be supplemented by one of the children of the longshoremen coming into the industry. I certainly didn't want to come in that way, but on the other hand, I was very grateful to become a longshore worker when I did, and I came in as a B-man. I had friends that I'd gone to high school with that started working on the waterfront right after they got out of high school. And the Vietnam War was happening, and they were hiring a lot of workers. But anyway, 1985 is when I got started, and the only B people who were working on the waterfront in Local 10 were the people who came in through their father's books. We were called, and I guess it was an affectionate term, quote, the daddy's books.
Okay.
as a way of, of like defining who we were.
Right.
And when I came on the waterfront, I can only remember 3 women working on the waterfront, one of which was Sister Maddie Walker. I think her last name was Walker. I just saw her the other day. And it was good to see her. She was one of my trainers for the transtainer. And she was a terrific operator. But anyway, Lawson, is it Lawson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I got Walker confused with another Maddie that I knew.
So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And she was
Sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to her. I think her niece just got selected as a casual.
Oh, let's go.
Anyway, so that's how I got started. And I had to figure out how I was going to fit in. I was 38 years old, so I wasn't a spring chicken.
Right.
And many of the other people who had come in were much younger than me and had worked in industrial environments. So I hadn't done very much work with my hands. But one of the important things I wanted to mention was the camaraderie that the old timers showed the young people. Many of them would tell you that I knew your father, Clarence, and he was a terrific guy, and I worked with him, and so forth and so on. And then you had the impression that you had to measure up because your grandfather was down here, your dad, your uncle, and but they were very helpful in terms of telling you what to do, what to look out for. How to work safe, how to work to make the work best for you. Pay attention to things and don't take orders from the superintendents. And walking bosses would give speeches at the start of the shift. We didn't enter the gate until it was starting time, and a lot of changes. But more importantly, I guess, we knew many of the traditions and the history and the customs of being longshore workers. Unlike today, where the employer also have their picks, and they can bring in their family members or people who they're close to give them the employer's point of view and not the union's point of view. I had good mentors. I can name some of them. Brother Leo Robinson, who was the man who wrote the resolution calling for the boycott of South African cargo in 1976, after he had seen on the news the Soweto massacre in South Africa. He was a member of the Communist Party. He was very active. He was the kind of guy, even though he wasn't an officer, he understood Robert Rules of Order. And when he went to that mic, all the officers paid attention to what he had to say because they knew that he knew the contract and everything else. Right. And members would go to him for leadership. Right. A brother, Lawrence Tebow, who was, Brother Tebow passed away last June. I worked with Lawrence on a number of campaigns. Lawrence was a man who knew the Pacific Coast, the PCLCD, labor clerks agreement. Brother Tebow served in various capacities in the union. He was a business agent, a secretary of treasury. He was president of the union multiple times. He was a member of the International Executive Board. He was an expert on the contract and the safety code, and he knew how to make it work for the rank and file. Give you an example. During the anti-apartheid struggle, there was a movement called Boycott, divestment, and sanctions. As I mentioned, Leo wrote a resolution calling for the boycott, right? Okay. What would happen is a ship would come in carrying South African cargo.
Mm-hmm.
People in the community would be aware of this, and they might show up at like a Pier 80, and it might be 100 or 1,000 people that would be out there. Well, there would be discussions with people who worked whole jobs and winch drivers saying, hey, it's going to be a demonstration at this pier. So we only want guys who are sympathetic to what's going on and won't be offended if they don't get paid for 8 hours. So they knew in advance what guys were going to go and be dispatched for that job. See, so that it was no surprises. One of the things that Lawrence was able to do was to provide information to brothers and sisters about how we could use the contract to be able to maintain the boycott without us getting into trouble. And so we don't cross picket lines.
Right.
It's dangerous, and that stems from our history in 1934 when we had to battle the police, the National Guard, Pinkertons, which was a private detective agency, who were sworn allegiance to the employers and to the newspapers and corporations against the longshoremen. So we had longshoremen who died, Bloody Thursday, when all 29 ports and the port in Vancouver, Canada, are shut down on July 5th for 24 hours to commemorate the sacrifice of Howard Bodoisi and Sperry. Okay. One was a longshore worker. The other was a member of the Marine Cooks and Steward. They were both killed on July 5th. So, yes, yeah. That they weren't killed there, but but that's where the graphic is.
Yeah.
Where we very good. That is absolutely correct. Well, so we don't cross picket lines. The police can't escort us across. That's a health and safety issue.
Mm-hmm.
So we use those kinds of language to protect us and to also stand in support of those who have legitimate picket lines. So, that was part of what Lawrence and others would do. The dispatchers, there was rank and file unity around these issues, and there was a lot of talk in the hall. So people talk to one another. And so to give you an example, there's a brother right now, he's still with us. He's retired from the Pacific Northwest. He was in San Francisco. His name is Bill Proctor. And Bill Proctor, shout out to brother Bill Proctor. He was a winch driver. And Bill would be taking cargo out of the hold. This is before we had the cranes handling loose cargo. And he said, come on up. I'm not touching the rest of that cargo in the hold of the ship because it's South African cargo. Come on up out the hold. I'm not touching it. That's how we rolled back in those days. And we see those same kind of traditions being carried on today with regards to what we see. And I'll talk more about this later concerning Block the Boat, which started in 2014. But anyway, in terms of myself, working with people like Leo Robinson, people like AJ Mitchell, who is still with us. Shout out to AJ. Yeah. He's living in Atlanta now. AJ will be 92 this year.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah, he's still rolling. David Stewart, who's since passed on. They were also involved in an organization called the Coalition uh, uh, CBTU, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists.
Okay.
Easier for me to remember the acronym than the name.
Right.
But anyway, it was an organization that was responsible for promoting engagement of blacks in the labor movement. And so one of the things that happened was that there was a resolution that was passed in the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists regarding making the Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King's birthday a paid holiday.
Okay.
Leo and AJ and David Stewart, they brought that resolution to Local 10, passed the executive board, went to the membership, and it was adopted at the Longshore Caucus. So that's how we were able to get the Martin Luther King as a paid holiday. Now, this is an example of democracy at work, where a member can write a resolution, submit it, and have it voted on, and it can work its way up the chain. That's bottom-up democracy.
Yes.
It's rank and file democracy, and that's what makes the union strong.
I love that.
I was encouraged to get involved. It took me a while to figure out, do I want to get involved? And people knew of my experience before I got to the union, and they were encouraging me. But I had just gotten married, and our family had a video store in East Oakland, and I said, do I want to get involved with Local 10? This is going to take away. So I finally decided that, it's sort of like, I got drafted.
Right.
It started out by being asked to join the East Bay Legislative Committee, which was an organization, it's not functioning now,
right,
but it endorsed candidates for school board of supervisors, mayoral races, I'm into school board, and things like that. And I was told that it was important for Local 10 members to weigh in on these issues, to be a part of it, to know what the issues are, bring it back to the membership.
right.
We developed slate cards so that members would know what elected officials or candidates that we had interviewed and looked at and what we thought about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I joined the Alameda Labor Council, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. So these are things that I'm involved with that are outside of Local 10.
Right.
But one of the things that I realized and learned from Leo is that always when you're in the community or you're at a meeting, always wear your union jacket to let people know that you're in the room.
Right.
Because you represent an organization that has a long history of progressive and meaningful involvement. People have a great deal of respect for longshore workers.
Right.
And they've had that for a long time. There was a time, believe it or not, in this city when there were like 5,000 longshore workers.
Yes.
And a longshore worker was as respected, believe it or not, in the black community as a doctor or a lawyer. And this is the reason why. It was not about how much education you had, but it was about what kind of man you were. They didn't have a lot of women. Didn't have any women in the longshore rank at that time. And like longshoremen made a decent living, and they were able to work a lot of hours. They had flexible hours. They were militant. They were integrated. I'll repeat that again. They were integrated, and they had a lot of political influence. They had muscle, a lot more than what we have now because we have fewer members. So I wasn't around when they had the 3,000, 5,000 members. They used to have 2 union meetings a month because they couldn't get everybody together at one time. But that just gives a little background. So I got drafted, so to speak, and I was encouraged, and they saw that I was one of the guys who was willing to do things without asking for money to get paid, you know. And I think part of that had to do with the fact that I was accustomed to being involved in things. When I was in the Black Panthers, I was involved with petitions for community control of police.
Right.
I was collecting money for the Huey P. Newton Defense Fund. I was a part of political education. My parents allowed Black Panther Party meetings to take place in their homes.
Okay.
Shout out to my mother, who's 97.
Shout out. Still with us.
Shout out to Sister Sadie Williams, the widow of Cleophas, who will make 102 on February 25th.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sister, yes.
So, shout out to Sister Sadie.
With her at the T-Bone ash spreading.
Yes. Wonderful woman. Wonderful woman. So, I got involved in doing all kinds of things. Some things were more successful than others, but I learned a great deal. Now, let me tell you, when I became Secretary Treasurer, one of the highlights for me is that I was the chairperson for the Harry Bridges Centennial celebration when Harry Bridges turned 100 years of age. I should have brought the letter that his daughter sent to me. Harry died.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but he had he lived to be about 90.
Yeah.
He lived a long life. He outlived a lot of his enemies. Harry, on the subject of Harry Bridges, it's important to talk about some history that is Black history, but it's American history, and it took place. It took place right here in San Francisco. In 1934, we had the West Coast waterfront strike, and it was about a 6-hour workday. It was about a coast-wide labor agreement instead of port-by-port negotiations. The main thing was about a worker control hiring home.
Right.
And let me just say this. That was as radical an idea that one could have. As a matter of fact, Hearst, who owned the Chronicle and the Examiner newspaper, had a lot of influence, not only in San Francisco, but in the country. They were totally against it, and so were the employers. They were called the shock troops of capitalism, the shipping companies, because for this reason. Longshore work is a casual industry, meaning that there's only work when ships are in.
Right.
Now, of course, that is changed with the advent of steady employees.
Mm-hmm.
So, because steady people can have things to do, moving boxes around the yard and other things, even when work is slow. But back in the old days, it was like when the ship weren't working, it was feast or famine. It was working or it wasn't working. Work was very dangerous. This strike was really revolutionary in so many ways. There is a great video out called Harry Bridges, A Man in His Union. And you could actually see longshore workers in battle with the police, doing such things as taking marbles and throwing them at the foot of horses so that they could throw the police off of that, hitting the horses in certain places with bats and things like that. It was a war because they were attacking longshore. Longshore workers were trying to stop and keep the ports closed, the terminals closed. And when you drive down the Embarcadero, well, what do you see now? The only semblance of any kind of maritime work is at Pier 27 and 35, which are passenger terminals. But all of those terminals at one time used to be right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what
Now
things
they like museums, parking lots.
you know, architectural firms, restaurants, and the like, and all that other kind of stuff. And the city made a decision that they said, well, we don't want containers and all of this shit here. We want to have real estate development, but that's another matter.
Right.
But anyway, so this was a real battle, man. And so here's the thing that we need to understand. There weren't a lot of black people living in San Francisco at that time. And the reality is that the people who made up, there was no local 10 at that time. We were part of the ILA.
Yes.
And
It's in the hall.
yes, in the hall. And the other thing was that there was, people didn't want black people in the hall working. They didn't want longshore workers working, black longshoremen in the union. And what was so interesting about that is that at one time, that's who was doing the work, was the enslaved black people.
Right.
When the work was very dangerous, as it was dangerous in 1934, you could lose your life, a limb. That was a daily occurrence. But one of the problems is that black people, this is during the Depression now, black people took advantage of the opportunity to work when there was a strike. And we call that scabbing,
Right.
But we have to understand the full context of that. I mean, when people are trying to survive, you don't want us to come into the union, you understand, but you want us to support you. We had an earlier conversation.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and there was a man by the name of C.L. Dellums. He was the uncle of Ron Dellums, who was former congressman, former mayor of the city of Oakland, whose dad, by the way, was a longshoreman. He got hired in the 1940s. But shout out to Ron is gone now. But yes, he was. And so CL was probably the leading black civil rights and labor man on the West Coast. And so he believed in unions. Bridges knew, Henry Schmidt, who was a communist, they knew that they couldn't win the strike with black people crossing the picket line. Okay? And so others realized it too. They learned the hard way. Because, listen, the ship owners were being very creative. They were putting people on ships outside of the port of San Francisco, bringing them in as if they were passengers on a cruise ship, and letting them work. Some were from the University of California, football team members and things of this nature.
Yeah.
Black folks, that was the way that black people got hired in the early 20s, the late teens. They got hired because there was a strike. They kept a few blacks on the job after the strike was over. They were damn good workers. They didn't keep a lot of them, but they kept a few. And that's how they got into the ILA. Well, Bridges said, hey, we can't win without the black community. So this is before they had the Bay Bridge. So he had to take a ferry, and he hooked up with a man by the name of C.L. Dellums, who I mentioned. Dellums was the vice president of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which was the first union that was designated by the AFL, American Federation of Labor. And they were the people who worked as porters on the trains.
Right.
That was the main means of transportation back in the day. Not planes, but taking the train. And they had these luxury cars, rail cars. They were Pullman cars.
Yes.
And they had these black men, many of whom were very educated, who graduated from college and had various kind of degrees, who couldn't get jobs with the government. So they worked as porters. Well, anyway, Dellums was the vice president of that organization. Dellums and Bridges hooked up because Bridges needed Dellums in order to be able to get permission from black ministers to be allowed to go to their church to speak.
Right.
And appeal to the members not to go to work in exchange for their membership into the ILW, into the union. This is before the ILW. ILW wasn't formulated until 1937. Okay. Bridges said that this was a real New Deal. And he said that because there was a New Deal that was being offered by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but it wasn't real to black people.
Right.
You know, it was real to some other people, to whites, but not to blacks.
Shout out to Black History Month.
Black, shout out. I'm giving you that now. So anyway, the community said, okay, now listen, this is a man who is from Australia.
Right.
He's an immigrant. And there was really no reason for black people to believe him, but he was earnest. And they said, well, wow, this guy is coming to us to talk to us like we,
they gave him a chance.
Yes, and they gave him a chance. And it turned out. Now, in all honesty now, it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
Because we really didn't see the significant influence of black people coming on the waterfront until the war years, during the 1940s. But that was a turning point. And so what Bridges was able to explain was that there is a relationship between black and white workers, and that racism is a means by which to keep the working class divided.
Right.
The other part of it is that, and a lot of people, some members miss this, blacks and a lot of whites. One of the reasons for the hiring hall, it ended the shape up.
Right. Yes.
Where the bosses could pick and choose who could go to work for a day. And who did they pick?
Of course.
They picked people who gave them kickbacks, whiskey, money. I'll let you sleep with my sister. All kinds of things.
Right.
Oh, by the way, if you are Italian, no. If you're Irish, maybe. If you Scandinavian, yes. They had a picking on.
Yeah.
It was discriminatory.
Yes, very.
It was discriminatory. The bosses are going to discriminate even if there are not any black people around. If there are not any Latinos, they're still going to discriminate because they want to divide the workers on the job.
Right.
And it works. Keeps workers divided. So, Bridges was saying
that discrimination is a tool of the bosses,
Right.
you know, that it sometimes causes division and causes death in some instances,
Yes.
you know. And so this all came into fruition. I want to say one thing. This is before affirmative action, DEI, or
Yes.
any of that.
Yes.
But Bridges was a Marxist, and he understood the nature of class. And a lot of workers in the ILWU need to understand that. When I mentioned coming in through the permissive rule, that's a form of socialism. The idea that when longshore workers negotiate contracts with the PMA, they not only negotiate contracts for the active members, they negotiate for people like me and my mother and Sadie, who are retired or who are spouses of retired longshoremen.
Right.
The idea that longshore workers have a grievance committee where they can oversee their own workers, make decisions based upon whether or not a person is following the rules and being a good member or doing things on the job. We can stop the job if something is unsafe. We just stop working. If something looks wrong, we stop and then we call the business agent. Right. Tell the bit, come out here. They got an oil spill out here. Right. These people talking about drive your tractor around. No, we don't do that. Right. We don't know what this is out here. Workers have all of democracy at work. All of these things are at our disposal because of the kind of union that this is. But as Leo Robinson was fond of saying, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any.
Right.
So you got to read and find out what your rights are. But that's another subject. But anyway, I've tried to give you some background about the issue about blacks and how they got into this union, and people like Bridges and others who were radical. Let me tell you one thing right now. When Donald Trump calls Democrats leftists and communists and all of that, that is not true. Trump is just throwing out words to make people fearful because they worked in the 1940s after World War II. They went after Bridges. And I'm bringing this up because members today are still skittish. They claim that Bridges was a communist. Well, look, let me tell you one thing. Anytime you're talking about bringing black workers and white workers together,
they're going to put a label on you, for sure. Yes.
There was a time in this country that if you were white, and if you believe in race mixing, if you believe that people have a right to live and work where they want to work, you must be a communist or a communist sympathizer, because because you weren't supposed to have thoughts like that. And so anyway, so they would call a person, you either are back in the 40s. If you have these thoughts about interracial marriage or about people living in an integrated situation, people should be treated fairly. People should be judged, by their capability, their character, and not by how they look. Because these are the things that the union, Local 10, believes in.
Right.
They don't care how much education you have if you can't operate the crane properly, or if you can't operate the top pick, or if you're not a good walking boss, or you don't you don't treat your members, your brothers and sisters, because you don't like them and you get on the job, you're going to let something bad happen to them because you got some political differences? No.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We don't do things like that. And so, exactly.
So, Brother Danny, man, let me ask you the same question. Why did you want to become a member of the ILWU?
Because I knew Clarence Thomas was down there and I was going to follow him.
Let's go. Shout out.
No,
Brother
I came in
Thomas.
because, just the whole idea of longshoremanship. My uncle was a longshoreman. My great-grandfather was a longshoreman. And so I come from a history of longshoremen. And, my uncle tried to get me to come down there for years. And I said, yeah, I'm on my way. And I had other things in my mind, women being one of them. But anyway, so I finally got going, and it took me till I was 39 years old, but I got in, and I came in, and it was changed my life. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, hands down. Nothing even can compare to it, just as far as the people, the way, what they stand for, everything that there is to do with longshoremen. I mean, it's my life. I mean, that's my family. I mean, I've been with these people for 25 years, and I mean, I got love for being a longshoreman, being the people that I associate and that work with me. It's just.
I really appreciate you, man. Since I've been there since 23, I think the sergeant at arms at that time. Well, you said 6 years, right?
Yeah, I'm going on 6 years.
Right?
I'm going on 6 years. It was me.
Man, I just I appreciate the whole ILWU as a whole, because I always give shouts out to my dad. I always say on the program that it may not always be me as the host, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because this is for us. This is for all the locals.
Yeah.
Wherever local you from the top of the world to the bottom, Mexico, wherever, you know what I'm saying? We together, we gotta stand up against the powers that be together.
Yeah.
So I always I love this. I mean, when my dad signed me up in 2017, he used to tell me, get your license together, get all your stuff together, because they're gonna call you. And I always felt like, damn, after year one went by, now it's 18. I'm like, and he's like, they're gonna call you. They're gonna call you. 19. They're gonna 20, 21. All right, now I'm about to move to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like halfway out the door, and the letter came. I'm like, oh, okay. It came.
It's here, man. I've arrived.
When I got there, Frank was like, oh, you Nicky's kid. Okay. Because he'd been calling me for years about what's going on. And my sequence number was 25, 27 or something. So I was way back on the list.
Yeah.
So it's like, just being around in the atmosphere before, going to Bloody Thursday, all that type of stuff, it made me appreciate being there, and then getting in there, actually seeing the struggle, being around people that I normally wouldn't associate with. So that was a real thing for him to keep us in the hiring hall together, because you get to mix with people you've never been around, and that's a great thing, because I feel like if I see them in Tulum, or I see them in Prague or somewhere, that's my brother. And like you were saying, being in the room with this on your chest, you know what I'm saying, is representing the organization. But I feel like even when we in the wild, you know what I'm saying, wherever you at, if somebody see this, okay, I see what you got going on.
Yeah.
I met a person in Sacramento a couple weeks ago, and I had on my coat, my ILWU, and it says West Coast. And he like, where from? What local? And I'm like, oh, I'm with Local 10 or whatever. And he like, okay, I'm retired Local 34. And I'm like, okay, brother, we
Yeah.
out here in seconds, just,
We
in the
mend it.
wild, and you saying what's up to me, and it, it's a white guy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, like, cause he like, where from? And I'm like, I don't even know if he talking to me, right?
Yeah.
And then when he said, I'm like, oh yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, it's a good thing. I don't know everybody from everywhere, but if I see you with this identifier on, at least I know that's where our common ground starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I got to know you from just being the sergeant at arms with the IDs. I mean they've been down there for 5 years and they're not they don't get hardly any work. You know how it is. And so anyway, I became friends with a lot of them. And a lot of them have family down there too.
Right.
I know their dads. And
yes,
I work with Dickie all the time at 37.
Shout out,
shout out to Dickie for sure. I love Dickie. I love your whole family. Hope your wife's doing good, man. And so, I mean, it's amazing, man. Some of the stuff. I was in Disneyland on my honeymoon, and somebody came up and said, "Bo, you following with me?" And Longshoreman. In Disneyland. My wife's like looking at me. Are you kidding, man? Are you kidding me? And so, it's just a big family, man. It's just a lot of good people, man. I mean, I got nothing but good to say about it. It's just been the best thing that I've ever had in my life. Just with the people that I know and the people that work with you every day, and they're watching your back and just everything about it, man. There's no other thing that you could do on earth that compares to it. I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing like it, man.
I feel that.
I mean, there's nothing like it.
What you're saying. So okay. With that being said, here come the questions. Y'all ready for the questions now?
I'm ready.
All right.
Sure.
All right. So, whichever one of y'all want to go first. Looking back at your time as being a member of Local 10, right? Can you name me a moment or a struggle that fundamentally shaped your understanding of the union and the impact of solidarity?
Okay. Yes, there have been several for me.
Okay.
I'll name three very quickly.
Okay.
The first of which was the Million Worker March.
All right.
Which was initiated by Local 10, and Local 10 being the only predominantly African American local on the West Coast. It was endorsed by the ILWU Longshore Caucus, and we were able to assemble trade unionists from throughout the United States, including Canada, Japan, and Haiti, and South Africa at the Lincoln Memorial on October 17, 2004.
Okay.
And it was around the issue of a workers' agenda, protecting Social Security, ending the war in Iraq, universal health care, stopping the dismantling of public education, enforcement of all civil rights, and many, many other issues. Oh, and also letting people understand that the agenda of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is the agenda of the rich and the ruling class and not the working class. So we were about trying to let people understand that. At the time, John Kerry was running for president on the Democratic side, and George Bush was running again. Now, interestingly enough, we didn't get any funding from our international, because the Democratic Party and the American Federation of Labor tried to put the kibosh. They said, while we may agree with many of the aims of the Million Worker March, we're not devoting any resources or money to that. It's all about going to the battleground states and getting John Kerry elected, even though John Kerry was carrying out a Wall Street agenda.
Right.
We called for 1 million workers to come. 1 million workers did not show up. And I can recall when I was asked by a journalist, they said, "Oh, Clarence, are you disappointed because you didn't get 1 million people?" I said, "No." I said, "Because we reached more than 1 million households because C-SPAN was here, so we got our message out." Um, but that was the first time that the ILWU had initiated a call specifically around breaking from the Democratic and Republican parties. And we ran up against the Democratic Party, we ran up against the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, and we did not back down. One of the things I want to mention very quickly, Brother Leo Robinson, who is featured in my book, 19 a year of good trouble, 1934. This is Leo on the back, wearing the Million Worker March T-shirt. Brother Leo contributed $50,000 of his own money so we could buy T-shirts. Matter of fact, I brought one for you today, Brother Dickie. It's a classic. It was union made in Texas, believe it or not.
Wow.
And it's over 20 years old. But aside, okay, that's one thing. The second thing I wanted that to me demonstrated the importance of rank and file solidarity and internationalism. In 2003, I was a part of a 5-member international labor delegation that went to Baghdad, Iraq, and this was during the occupation when Saddam had been arrested and the United States had was occupying the country. And the purpose of the visit was to meet with trade unionists and to find out how things were going since the occupation had occurred. And they were trying to privatize, and because for so many years, trade unionists had to go underground and all that. So when I got back, I gave reports, to various labor organizations on the East Coast and the West Coast. And so Local 10 was involved in an organization called United States Labor Against the War, of which I was a member. So was Trent Willis. And we did that in order to show our disapproval for the war. And one other thing that you should know, when the United States occupied Iraq, one of the things they did was to put SSA in charge of the port of Qasr in Basra. And that happened immediately following. So it just goes to show you what was happening. Yeah. Politics touches all of our lives. So in 2008, Brother Jack Hayman wrote a resolution calling for peace, a peace and no work holiday, basically, on May 1st. May 1st is International Workers' Day. And
they call it May Day, right?
Call it May Day. Very good, brother. You know your history. Everybody should know what May Day is all about. Listen, May Day is not a communist holiday. It started here in the United States around the struggle for the 8-hour workday.
Yeah.
And it was violent and it was bloody. Yeah. And so that history of the struggle for the 8-hour workday has been hidden to a lot of workers. But one of the things that the Million Worker March accomplished was to reclaim May Day. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that on May 1st, 2008, Local 10 initiated a resolution calling for all 29 ports on the West Coast to not work for 8 hours on International Workers' Day, May Day, to oppose the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And All 29 ports were shut down, including Vancouver, Canada. And
Shout out.
this was during contract negotiations, Brother Dickey.
Okay.
Yeah. And the third thing that I think is that is very important to me is the issue of block the boat,
Mhm.
which basically is longshore workers and local 10 in particular not crossing community picket lines that were organized by the Arab Resources Organizing Center, otherwise known as AROC,
Okay.
uh, to oppose the killing and murder of women and children and innocent men in Palestinian territory. And for those of you who may not know, it started in 2014,
Okay.
and I had a role to play in that. But the Palestinian labor movement and people have been very grateful to the ILWU Local 10 for the positions that they've taken. Other unions, other longshore unions, have taken similar action around not uh, loading military cargo going to Israel.
Right.
It's happened in Italy, Greece. Uh, we couldn't get that resolution adopted at our international convention in 2024, unfortunately. But we don't work for war.
Right.
That's one of the things that I think is important. And so those are three things. And then uh, stopping the privatization at Howard Terminal with that billionaire John Fisher who owns the Oakland A's was another great one. And there's other things, but that's demonstrated, international solidarity,
Mhm.
community, labor solidarity. Uh, no, IOW is not perfect. It's far from that, but we got a pretty good damn
Man.
reputation in the community.
Yeah, we do.
I'll let Brother Bolden
So,
talk.
Brother Daniel, same question. Looking back as your time as a member of Local 10, name me a struggle that fundamentally shaped your understanding of the union and the impact of solidarity.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm not big political guy, but I agree with certain things, and I have yeah, I got views and everything. But as far as what Clarence was saying about that, about the terminal, for the A's ballpark,
Yes.
that was a huge thing for me. I mean,
Mhm.
that was huge. I mean, that would have messed the whole waterfront up, man. It
Right.
really would have. It really would have put a huge damper on it. So I'm so happy that didn't go through for sure on that. But another thing that I agree with and I like is like like when a person dies on the job that we stop work and we don't work for the day and as out of respect and honor of that person, we're not going to work. We don't care what the employers or whoever says. You're stopping. We don't care if you stop. You find what you got to do, but we're stopping. We're not working.
Right.
And that's a huge thing for me. That is really big. I go with that. And then we work on contracts and do all the things that we do, and it's been good. But we're like Clarence said, we're not perfect, but I mean we're as far as great. I mean, I can't complain about nothing. But the that what this union has done for me and how everybody comes together when certain things happen, and it's powerful. It's powerful, man. We got a say. We got a big say.
Man, I think I think that the solidarity aspect is something that just needs to be a little bit more robust. We need to put the fire up under it a little bit.
I agree.
More.
I agree.
But I for sure feel like that is a thing that is highly ranked in my mind. Like if someone gets hurt, they don't even have to die. It's like still shut down.
Yeah, it's shut down. If you got hurt on the job, it's done. It's done.
That this person is okay.
Yeah.
My dad has been a part. Like he was on here and he told the story about him being in the crane in the emergency basket.
Yeah.
And that, and they shut down for it just to help him out.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, a couple of people could have handled the situation.
Yeah.
But instead of that, they shut down the whole operation.
The whole operation, and
because of and so that is a thing to me. That's solidarity right there, because a lot of people want to go home. They're tired.
Oh yeah.
This,
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to have time for this. You're driving back. You're doing whatever. You don't got the seatbelt. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But because of your brother or your sister is hurt.
Yeah.
Y'all
we're all be there. All be there for them.
And all be right there, hands on. You can't do anything or nothing, but you're gonna be right there, hands on, and that's what I think is a beautiful thing about the union. So,
and then another thing on that thing is the strike line. Definitely. Not walking over the strike line.
Yeah.
Nope. No crossing, no picket lines. No picket line cross.
We ain't doing that.
And I've been through a couple.
Yes, we ain't not doing that. Shout out to everybody who holds the line.
Yeah.
So, considering the changes you witnessed in the maritime industry, right? What are some of the biggest changes that you believe the next generation of longshoremen gonna face, and the role that the union gonna play in the negotiation?
Okay, I'll let Brother Bolden speak because he's still active. I'm retired, so I'll let him go.
Okay, so the thing that mostly is how people use the rank and file for getting jobs. I just think that's got to change. For as far as like people getting 3 jobs in a row and nobody's working. I mean, there's not enough jobs, and in the meantime you're coming back at night and doing that. Yeah, I think that's got to change. Everybody got to eat. I know people hear it all the time, but everybody does have to eat. They got families. There's people down there that are struggling big time. I mean, the whole world's struggling.
Right.
And it doesn't change from us. Even though we make good money, we do. We have a lot of good things. And it's got to change, man. They got the membership's got to come together, and they started talking about it recently. So they're starting to change things. Try to change things.
Yes.
And so I'm all for it, and I'll help whatever they need. I'm all for it. That's the main thing. It is because I see the IDs that have been there for 4 years that got very little work, had other jobs, had families to deal with, and they're still coming to the hall, all the time just to make sure they get their hours so they don't flop on where their seniority goes.
That's true.
So I see it. I saw it, and with my own eyes, and it's tough, man. It's a tough thing, man. So I just want that to be like people, we got to come together. We got to help everybody. Everybody got to help everybody.
For sure.
That's it.
Brother Thomas, you want me to read the question again?
No. I think that one of the point Brother Bolin made was very important. That's been an issue. I will say this: when I was active, that tripling stuff had stopped.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's unsafe. But more importantly than that, this is a union.
Yes.
And we have to share. There was a time when things really got tough, and they wanted to lay off people, and that meant the last hired was the first fired. You understand? Back in the 40s, right? And so, but it was hard to stand up and vote when you're standing next to a guy that you've been working with and tell him that he's got to leave that waterfront. It's hard to do that. They had a vote where people had to stand, and not a secret vote. You understand? But let me say that need to get back to that, and I think that needs to start from the bottom and not the top.
I agree.
But whatever works. The next thing I want to mention is the threat of AI.
Okay, let's go.
To longshore workers.
Yes.
And I'm going to say something that I learned just recently from a woman who's a professor in Portugal. And she said that the only way that longshore workers are going to survive with AI
believe it or not, is when longshore workers take positions on matters that are of interest and concern to people who are not longshore workers. For an example, uh, longshore workers need to take positions with regard to issues such as ICE.
Right.
They need to take positions on with respect to health care.
Mm-hmm.
They need to take positions with respect to certain to issues such as education, social security, and what I mean by that is they need to be vocal and out front. And in some instances, they may need to take solidarity action.
Right.
And the reason why I say this is because we're going to need the community to support us.
Yes.
This AI thing
Exactly.
really is impacting us before it's impacting a lot of other people. Because in Singapore and other Asian nations, what you will find is an operation of longshore work without any people. There's no tractor drivers because you got GPS, you got like Waymo tractor drivers, right?
Yeah.
You got somebody in a joystick in some remote location operating the cranes. Yeah, exactly. So we need to be aware because I hate to use this word, but the waterfront is an esoteric place.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know what goes on there
Mm-hmm.
until we tell them, and that usually come up during contract negotiations. But we got to understand, if you want people to support our struggles, we have to be there for other people as well, and that means that means being there, going to meetings, because these issues also affect us.
Yes.
In our communities. But I think that that's very, very important. We have to understand this, that this technology thing, this AI, man, the employer just wants production,
Right.
you know, and profit.
Yes.
He doesn't care about making dangerous jobs less dangerous and using that.
Yeah.
He wants to figure how can I get more production? How can I use fewer longshore workers? Right. But a house divided against itself will not. And Brother Boland is absolutely correct. We got to clean that up and clean that up very, very soon.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with both of you guys. I had Brother Nude on Power to the People. You know what I'm saying? And he agreed with that position. But he said something that was real interesting. Was that and what you were saying was that the people, the rank and file, actually meet each other. He said that's the challenge.
Well,
he said the challenge to get back is to get back to what we were.
Yeah.
Because we can't fight against nothing.
Yeah.
Being like
well,
this.
that is true.
We have to come together like this, or he said like this.
Yeah.
He was giving an analogy about making a fist.
Yeah.
How strong it is like this. You can't really do anything like this. You know, so I totally agree with that. I think we are the strength that's gonna hold up against those things taking over.
Yeah.
We are the strength that's going to stop whatever automation, AI, people from outer places being hired in our jurisdiction and all of that.
Yeah.
We are the strength. So that's why I always preach the camaraderie thing. I always say we need to get that back. Because if we get that back, we won't have nobody.
We're halfway there. That's halfway there.
No big eyes, little U's, none of that. Because we us. Right? We. When I post the short, I put us, hashtag we, family, stuff like that, ILWU, because that's it. That's what we got. We got each other.
We got it.
So, this is the last question, y'all. Y'all can get up out of here. Thank everybody for bearing with us. But beyond the benefit, beyond the tangible stuff, beyond the health care, beyond the wages, right? Looking back now, beyond all that, can you name something positive that you could say to the longshoremen's coming up?
That's you, because you're tired.
Well, what I can say is rank and file unity creates for stronger, more effective leadership.
I agree.
Starts from the bottom up and not the top down, which is why I am so glad to be a part of this program today.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to underscore the fact that, Brother Dickie, you are a casual,
Right.
but you're not behaving as a casual. You're behaving as if you are a member, because this is the kind of an activity that you would expect a rank and filer to have.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't be giving me too many accolades in here.
no, but seriously, no.
They're gonna start not liking me for real.
Well, the reality of the situation is that, like, it's people like you and others who are casuals now that are going to be the leadership of this organization in the future.
Yes.
I think that, one of the things to be mindful of is that, and this is not just this generation. There's been other longshore workers before you,
right,
who felt put upon, and they said, well, they doubled before me when I was there, and now it comes back and they want to do it. It kind of reminds you of people who were abused as children, and they're repeating the same abuse. And that's a bad analogy, but I think it's kind of shows and focuses, because it's bad behavior. And people need to learn from that. And things are getting tighter. There's fewer ships coming in. The ships are larger, and people have to share the work. You know what? You have to share the wealth. You got to share the misery too.
right.
We are in it. Because everybody is looking for. When I say everybody, I'm talking about all the longshore workers are looking for support and help when we're out there on hitting the bricks.
Yes.
They want, they want as many bodies as they can. They're not asking if you are a casual or A or B member.
No.
You an ILWU member.
What's up?
When the fighting starts, and
Right.
that's something that I think. I hope I answered your question.
I mean, you did. You did. You did. You did. We beyond the benefits, beyond the tangible stuff, right? Yeah. What can you tell the next person coming up that's longshore something positive about the unit?
The thing I would say is, when you're coming up and you're coming in, you gotta be open to. You gotta find, first of all, you gotta find yourself a partner, that can come, that be at the hall with you, and tell you things, even if you got to talk to an amen, whatever. But when you get in there, you find out whose number's in front of you, and you become friends with the people that are around you, because you got to know where you are. And then get together, talk together, find out each other. Make sure you're cool with everything you're going around you. And then if you can go with it as soon as you get your first job. You'll be with somebody that's going to be in line with you. You're not going to be lost. Because I've seen it in the last 5 years.
Right.
People lost, hey, get out of line. What are you doing? Hey, relax, man. It's his first job.
Right.
It's his first job. So be aware of the people around you, and don't let it get to you, because it'll all get better eventually.
Right.
We all had to go through some kind of anguish before when we came in, But now more than ever, because it's not as much work as there was.
Right.
They don't. It's not like it used to be. And there's different rules and stuff, but just learn things, read things that are at the hall, read the pamphlets, talk to people. I have people come and talk to me as a sergeant at arms all the time. I'm open to it all the time. If you need anything, come talk to me. I'll tell you what I know,
Yeah.
And so that part, I hope that people, when they do come here, they're not intimidated, because it can be intimidating, man. Longshoreman's an intimidating career, man. It really is. When I came in there, I was scared. I ain't kidding, man. I was like, what? Whoa. But I had family down there, and I got down here, and and people introduced me and stuff. Hey, man, I'm this, I'm that. What number you? Where you from? That kind of thing. It ends quick. You become friends with people real quick. I tell you. right off. You know me, you and
Right,
Pat.
yeah,
I
yeah.
said, man, you look familiar.
That's the positivity.
Taking, of course.
Right, yeah, my dad. I mean, that's the thing that I feel about it. That's the benefit.
There's one quick thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
This organization has been around for many decades.
Mm-hmm.
It survived good leadership, radical leadership, and it has also survived bad leadership.
Mm-hmm.
People need to understand that they are the union.
Yes.
Go to the union meetings. Yes. Go to the executive board meetings.
Get educated.
Go to the steward council meetings.
Yes.
Read as much as you can. There are a lot of videos out, like for example, these videos that you're posting.
Yes.
This is a good opportunity for people to learn, and to realize when you're voting for people for office, don't vote for popularity.
Right.
Yeah.
Vote for people who really have a program and who have something positive to do.
Yeah.
And don't just think about your group.
Right.
Think about what's best for the overall organization. Yeah. Because if it's not good for everybody, it's not going to be a good thing.
You're right. You're right. I for sure. Now that was a good one. I for sure. Hey, look. I think that the diversity in people, like I would have never met nobody like yourself. I don't think ever, just in the wild. You know what I'm saying? I might not meet nobody ever like some of the people that's in the hall, but because we in there and we get to commingle amongst each other. Yeah. Now I get a new culture. I get a new language. Maybe I get a new way of thinking from somebody, and I think that that's the best benefit. You know what I'm saying? Not just knowing what I know, I get to deal with everybody.
The diversity of that hall, what goes on in there and everything. I grew up in San Francisco, so I roamed the neighborhoods, so I got friends at every color. So it was nothing to me coming into the hall. I knew half the people in the hall, growing up in San Francisco.
You know where you been? Oh, you been in here? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, fellas, I appreciate y'all. I want to tell y'all all that this thing here is love. This thing is great. Come here, sit your tools down, sit your stuff down. We had this conversation. Brother Clarence, I've heard about you before I even got, so your reputation definitely precedes you in the hall. And brother, he's like, we in the hall. So Sergeant at Arms. He see I do cover. You know what I'm saying? I'm rain, sleet, or snow. If y'all want to let me get out or not. I always say that my thing is, I'm a casual. I'm not really worried about that part of it. It's like the bees, you know what I'm saying? I really want for them to be taken care of because one day I'll be there, and that's
hopefully soon.
The fun starts.
Hopefully very soon.
That's where the fun starts. So I definitely want our partial members to be taken care of as they would see. And I feel like this is a family. You know what I'm saying? We all have too many. You came, your grandfather, you know what I'm saying? Your family in there. And so I feel like it's way too much family in there for us to be not together.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So with that being said, I hella appreciate y'all for y'all time. Excuse my longshoreman language. And thank y'all for coming, man.
Thank the cameraman.
An injury to one.
It's an injury to all.
Brothers and sisters, remember to stay safe out there because an injury to one is an injury to all.